What I'm going to do, I'm going to be the introducer of what we're doing around the customer portal. Some of you all, I see many faces from our local departments of social services, and so you all are aware of what we're doing already, but many of you all are unfamiliar faces. And so, again, just to kind of give you a backdrop, as Secretary Hazel mentioned, the customer portal is an online portal where you can go online from any computer, whether it's in the local department of social services, a library, in your home, anywhere, and actually go to that website and apply for benefits. And so there, you can not only apply for Medicaid, you can apply for SNAP, TANF, and all of the other benefits in the DSS benefit profile, LAHEAP and others. Ultimately, we hope to expand that to other benefits within the Secretariat as well as benefits within the Commonwealth. So you would only have to apply online one time, one application to receive those benefits. We're in the throes of that, and we're going to have a couple of folks come up and share with you where we are in the process of implementing this portal. We are in the implementation of our child care portal, which is going to be completely rolled out by the beginning of next year, and the customer portal is online to be completed by the summer of next year, summer of 2012. Again, what the customer portal does is that the application goes online, the application then goes to the local department. The local department actually does the enrollment, the eligibility enrollment, feeds it back to the individual. There are some benefits to the customer portal, and I want to talk to you about a couple of those. The first one is that, as Secretary Hazel mentioned, there is the reporting and tracking of information that allows us to better align our resources and to get resources where we need it. It's informatics, if you will. We're able to identify, okay, boy, we need more resources in this area of the state, or we need to assess who's actually receiving our benefits, who needs to receive our benefits more. So it actually helps us to track and to do better reporting. In addition to that, it actually helps the client. Makes the application process easier for clients, as well as it saves the clients money. And obviously, in going to and from local departments of social services, we know that there's a backlog. I was in, I've said this before, I was in a local department of social services in Bristol, and this was last year. Coming out of the office with the local director there were people not only sitting in the waiting room, sitting in the chairs, but they were literally people sitting on the floors waiting to get their applications enrolled for Medicaid and SNAP and other benefits. And so this is going to cut down obviously the applying online is going to cut down not only the waiting room time, but also the wait time for individual clients. It's going to make it more efficient and more effective. And it's also going to help in this enrollment retention challenge that we're faced with. As individuals are cycling on and cycling off, it's going to make things easier there. It'll allow us to communicate more effectively with our clients, as well as be more effectively involved in reaching out to community partners. To give you further background, I'm going to just share a couple of points. When you talk about enrollment retention, there are a couple of buttons on the customer portal that are going to help with that. There is one button that's a consent to exchange information indicator, and that will allow for future portal processes to interact with other agencies in other states with whom we have agreements. These partners may identify children who may benefit from services that Medicaid and VDSS offers. Other, not just SNAP, as Secretary Hazel mentioned, but what about WIC or Plan First or other programs that would be available within the Secretariat. There will be another button called Check My Benefits, and that will facilitate enrollment retention for parents and caretakers, and they can easily stay informed regarding the status of the child's benefits. Parents can quickly see if any additional verifications are missing, and parents will also be able to see a discontinue reason when the enrollment has been discontinued. And so they'll actually understand why their actual application or why their current benefit was discontinued and be able to address that reason specifically. Again, parents may choose to follow up if necessary, understanding that reason. There'll be another component, another button, which is report my changes, and which will allow parents to quickly notify the worker of changes that may affect the household's benefits. Last button is renewing my benefits. It clearly gives the opportunity for individuals to renew their benefits online, giving and updating renewal information, and it will allow them to populate the eligibility system. Obviously, the action frees the worker up from a number of manual keystrokes and allows the worker to move forward with the renewal process. This tool is just that. It's not the end-all and be-all, but it's a tool that's going to make it easier for us at the local level to get our jobs done. As Secretary Hazel mentioned, the reality is I wish we could actually just give more resources to local agencies so that we could put more bodies next to more people to actually bring in, to address the, 80% increase in SNAP applicants over the past 5 years, and a similar increase in the number of Medicaid applicants. In addition to addressing or trying to catch up with those applications in the past, it will also help us to prepare for the 400 and some odd individuals who are going to be applying for Medicaid in the future. So this is a real tool that's going to benefit, obviously, the local departments, and it's going to benefit, obviously, the client most of all. With that, I'm going to turn it over to get into greater detail to the people who are actually doing the work right in the local departments, in the central office. Donna Douglas is our Deputy Commissioner for Organizational Development, and she spearheads the effort with Organizational Change Unit as well as with our Department of Information Technology. And Deborah is also going to join her to kind of lay out for you the details of what's actually taken place with the portal and where we are in the process. So with that, I'm going to invite Donna up.
It's been a real pleasure for me to be engaged with the staff at VDSS, DMAS, the Health Department, DMV, to try to get a handle on what are we really trying to achieve in Virginia with this customer portal. And I will tell you that in 2005, the State Department of Social Services, along with other stakeholders, was engaged in an activity called the Business Process Reengineering Project. And that resulted in a very in-depth analysis and recommendation for how VDSS social service departments could do business differently. Actually, that has been kind of the backbone of setting the framework for us getting ready to change the way we do business at the local Department of Social Services. Within that business process reengineering initiative, there were 5 specific components that were recommended in terms of doing best practice in the state and making sure that we're improving our services to customers. They were, first of all, the first one was customer portal. The second one was develop case management. Third was document imaging. Fourth was single sign-on. And the fifth was a master customer ID. So that kind of set the framework, if you will, for what we're trying to do now is move forward with how we can use all that work that went into that effort to help support the future. Well, a couple of years back, the federal government made available the ARRA funds. At that time, with the wisdom and judgment of with the State Department of Social Services, along with the support of the Secretary's office, it was suggested that we use some of that money to create an opportunity to change the way that we do business in child care automation, to look at how if there are opportunities for us to have efficiencies in the local department and make it easier for our customers to apply for child care benefits, to have efficiencies both in the local Department of Social Services along with our vendors that are providing child care services to the children. That initiative, I think, started about 2 years ago, and in the last year or so, we've accelerated our effort to make all of that child care automation project come true. In October, we started our first wave with, first of all, we started with a pilot. Then after we had the pilot, we started with 3 waves. The first wave occurred in October. Second wave is occurring now this month. And the third wave for implementation is in December. Now, concurrent with that, that's laying the cornerstone for us to develop the customer portal that we're talking about. The customer portal now will have 2 phases. The first will be statewide rollout in March, and then the second phase, which will include additional information, will come on in June. That is the cornerstone, if you will, for us getting ready for healthcare reform. It's been, I can't tell you, we're talking about, I love it when the Secretary talks about the bus and the SOA for dummies. I think he probably recommends that to everybody he meets. The first time I met him, and that was like the second sentence out of his mouth. And oh, by the way, Donna, don't forget you got to read this to really understand what's going on. And it's true, guys. I mean, you really need to try to read that. It's very simple, but it really sets the framework for an opportunity that we have in Virginia that I don't think we've had in 20 or 30 years. And for those of you that don't know me, I've been around that long. In fact, when I came in, and this it really tells me how old I am, when I came in, I dropped my name tag, and this young woman in the audience picked it up for me, and I said, "Oh, thank you, but you didn't have to do that." And she said, "Well, I would have done that for my own mother." Thank you. Thank you. I'm looking at that as a seasoned employee, both at the, somebody that can contribute both a local voice and a state voice to what we're trying to do. I'm really excited about this. I took this position because I wanted a challenge, felt like I could make a difference in the state of Virginia. I know many of you out there, and you're ready for the challenge. But you know, the federal government really hasn't provided any opportunities or the green stuff for us to make those changes. So we're looking at maximizing some of the federal money at 90% federal, 10% general fund to help change a legacy system that we've had in place for well over 30 years. We have to take advantage of that opportunity. And so when the Secretary talks about this bus, for those of you that are familiar with the wheels on the bus go round and round, and you know that song that go round and round all day long? Well, at the State Department, those wheels are like road runners. And so we're trying to keep up as fast as we can with the best employees that have the competencies we need, not only to address restructuring what we're doing now, but looking at the future and how we're going to sustain it and maintain it in the future. Will we do this right out of the bat with no problems? I will tell you, I don't think so. I think there's, it's because it is new territory. When we developed the child care project, we partnered with experts in the field who have done this nationally, and that team is Deloitte. We're looking to the future. We've asked the General Assembly for some support to help us move forward, to bolt down some of our new technologies onto the mainframe, the SOA architecture, the service-oriented architecture, which is going to eventually replace some of our legacy systems. So we're very optimistic about that. I really don't have much else to really offer because I think the next person that I'm going to introduce, Deborah Vaughn, has really been the cornerstone of enterprise change management for the department for several years, and she has taken the lead on making sure that this is going to move forward as smoothly as we can make it for you. Will it be seamless and transparent? That is our hope. But we are going to need the help of every one of you in this audience to help us work through some of those difficulties that I anticipate we're going to have in making this work. But ultimately, I believe this is in the best interest of the Commonwealth, and I think this is in the best interest of every citizen that we serve today and in the future. So with that, I'm going to turn the mic over to, although I believe she has her own personal mic, I'm going to... that they give these to the people that can't bend over to pick up their name tag. But anyway, I'm going to now turn over the podium to Deborah Vaughn. the Director of Enterprise Change Management for the Virginia Department of Social Services. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna, for that introduction. I would have considered you a sister as opposed to a mother. As we talk about all of the changes that we're doing currently, it's a lot of technology, but it is a lot of business things that are being changed as well. So even though we change technology, we know that we have to incorporate things in what we call programs. So from an enterprise perspective, we created a program just for these particular type of initiatives that everyone's speaking about. We call that program an Enterprise Delivery System Program, and it is co-sponsored and led by business individuals and IT. We feel that that is the best combination in order to move us forward into new technologies and to streamline our processes. And this particular program was created simply to support the business process re-engineering efforts that Donna spoke of that occurred in 2005. The vision of that BPR, as it states, was to support client self-service that is efficient, effective, and provides a customer-friendly experience. So when we thought about what the BPR told us to do and where we wanted to be from where we were, we stayed focused truly on the vision of what the BPR stated. The customer portal, as some of you want to say, well, what is it? Well, we've had everyone telling you about the customer portal, but we like to show this diagram of actually what is going to be in the customer portal when we deliver it in this particular initial phase. Now, you have to always think, I always remind everyone that our changes are incremental. In order to be efficient and effective and to make sure that your success rate is higher, you want to do things in little pieces and parts. So the customer portal that we are describing, that we will deliver, is just the first step of where we actually need to be. As you see in the diagram, the programs that are listed at the front that we anticipate our customers being able to apply for. The services from social services includes child care, LIHEAP, SNAP, TANF, and Medicaid. Now, this portal that Donna has talked briefly about for child care has been implemented only for child care in its current state because that's the contract that we work with, and it was the first original incremental step for the portal. The phase that we're working on now actually incorporates all of the other programs with the current child care program. So when we roll out this enterprise portal, it will overlay what child care is currently seeing right now as they roll out, and all of those programs will be inclusive. The self-service functions that we anticipate our customers using is the screening tool. Now currently we have a screening tool on our Spark page, our public website, that customers actually use. But as we increase and improve efficiencies in our technology, we sunset certain applications to make ourselves more efficient technology-wise. And so that screening tool will finally go away, and then up will come the new screening tool, which will be more customer-friendly than the current one that we have. Now, the current screening tool that we have is something that the customer can say, well, I want to determine if I'm eligible for Medicaid. They check the button and says, I want to determine if I'm eligible. They go through the questions and answer the questions, and we only tell them whether it appears that they're eligible for Medicaid. But with this new screening tool, it's being built such that it won't ask the question of what programs would you like to screen for. It will say, well, would you like to be screened for programs that are in social services for right now until we expand it further. And it'll ask the general questions. As you know, all of our programs always ask the same things. So it will ask the general questions about the income, gross income, resource level, or how many people are in the household. And in the end, it is actually going to run through the small screening rules and determine if a person appears to be eligible for SNAP, TANF, Medicaid, LIHEAP, or child care. And then it will give them the opportunity to say, would you like to apply for benefits? If you do, select the next button. And if they choose to select the next button, then that's when they're off applying for benefits through going through the application screens. Then these application screens that they will be completing will be information that will be needed for all of the programs. Now, can you imagine one application being able to capture the information for all of the programs wherein we've never done that before? We generally have a different paper application for different programs in most instances. Child care would never have a paper application that matches the same as a TANF or SNAP application. But the particular online application will capture all of the necessary information for all of those programs. And then we're telling the customer, well, after you have been determined eligible, you can then renew your benefits online for the programs that require you to renew your benefits. So they can go through that, go through those particular screens. They'll be able to see what they had reported before and what the changes will be for their renewal, and then submit online. Report my changes. Currently, our customers actually contact a worker or they mail information in. Well, what Report My Changes will allow them to do at this particular point is they can actually submit changes online. They will log in, see their case, be able to report changes directly for certain things like their income, if there's income changes, if there's an address change or a name change, any type of information like that. They'll be able to submit that online, and of course they'll be able to check their benefits. And that's information that Commissioner Brown spoke on, that they will be able to see their status of their case or their program, whether it be approved, whether it be denied, whether it be suspended. They will be able to see their payment history actually for TANF and SNAP in this particular system. And then of course for our workers, this particular project will give them the ability to have a My Workspace. This will be their introduction, little bit at a time, toward web-based solution. And this My Workspace area will be utilized to perform file clearance, address verification by going out to a software solution that we have to validate address. And then they will be able to assign a client ID. From My Workspace, the information will then be pushed into a DAP, which is what some of you are currently used to for the VNAN application. But this will actually perform that activity for SNAP and TANF and Medicaid. It will send the LIHEAP information over so that the LIHEAP workers will be able to print that information off and perform the energy information. And then it will push the rest of the application and all of that information, if it's a child care application, into the new child care solution. All of that will be done with the click of a button. Of course, you've already heard the benefits to customers and our local and state staff with this particular initiative. Elimination of redundancy. The customer will not have to enter the address on multiple applications. All they have to do is fill in their address on a particular screen and it will go to the legacy systems of where it needs to go. We anticipate a reduction in administrative costs. We're being told by Horns-Bezella that it takes approximately 20 minutes for a package to be put through and created and delivered by our local agency. Every time you put together a renewal package, that's 20 minutes per package. Can you imagine the cost that would save for having to put that package together? Then the project itself, its timeline. As you can see where we are based on the star, we're nearing the end of our development, and it is a truly amazing feat. On November 18th, we are waiting with bated breath to see the actual screens and what they look like. Because up to this particular point, we've only seen and set in Monday through Friday sessions from 8 o'clock in the morning down to 5 and 5:30, 6 o'clock at night for 2 months and 3 months straight. We've only sat in working sessions and we've hassled with technical people on where we need it designed this particular way. We need this information to be sent over in this particular way. We need it formatted in particular different directions. We've seen pictures of what it may look like in the design documents, but we have never ever seen a deliverable as of yet. So on November 18th, that's what we're waiting for. That's when the solution will be released from development and go actually into our technical testing area. They are currently preparing all of their test scripts and getting their logins ready and determining what they need to test in order to make sure that everything is working just right. They're making sure that they have a process in place so that when they see defects that it will be tracked appropriately. It will get to the technical team on the Deloitte side and our internal staff side. And so that those defects will get retested appropriately. I'm almost finished. While the technical team is getting ready to go into their phase of testing for phase 1, the business team is also meeting as I speak, and they're all together in a lab trying to learn how to test. We have some volunteers on our team who's actually have never tested before, and we want them to be able to do the best job that they can, to be able to build the cases as a user, as workers out there, to be able to test it from beginning to end to make sure that everything goes appropriately. So we're currently teaching them how to test. They also are getting ready to get their scripts together so when it's their turn to test, which is January 30th, phase 1 of UAT, they will be prepared. We have teams getting prepared for training, and they're working together on how are they going to train all of this information to our workers, our local agency, on what they need to do and be prepared. We have another team of individuals who consist of state and local employees who are actually working on what type of business workflow model should we use and how best to get that information out. We have teams of people all over doing different things, but all that you see is one bracket that says development, and they are steady working day and night. Then in March 12th is when we intend to do our first phase release, and that particular release is going to consist of the screening tool and the apply for benefits tool and the My Workspace for our workers. We decided to release it in such a way so that we can first determine when it goes out what effect and impact is going to be, because if you can imagine, it's going to be a tremendous impact to our customers to be able to apply online and our workers to be able to receive that information. So we're releasing those two components along with the My Workspace that goes with it in the first release in March. And we've got a team of people getting together to work with 7 volunteer agencies who actually said, I want to work with you and I want to see and make sure that our customers are getting what we need when we roll out. And they're going to actually, I envision, select a group of their customers. And they're going to handhold them as they come through on day 1 and watch and monitor and receive a survey from them on, well, what do you think about the portal? You know, was it complicated, or what are their thoughts on it? So that team will work for phase 1, and as they're still working and the rollout for phase 1 is going on, we're still going to have testing going on for the phase 2. So you still got teams running and trying to get ready for the second rollout, which is for June. That particular rollout is where you will see the bang for your buck, for the renew my benefits, to report my changes, and check my benefits. That's where the big efficiency is going to be at. And that's when we will consider the project ready to move forward for healthcare reform. So that cuts it short for me. I hope you all are as excited as I am, as we all are, to move forward with this new initiative. Thank you.